Hey there, Marcel Haster here from liveprog. Are you ready for a tale of revenge? A tale of hatred, of intense hatred and of bloodshed. I am bringing you a Greek tragedy. Are you ready for it? Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Ruud Jolie from For All We Know and you're watching liveprog.
This Greek tragedy I'm talking about is brought to you by the Dutch band Ex Libris, and it is called Medea. Now, the album is not the Greek tragedy, the album is about the Greek tragedy. There's a subtle difference there. I did not get sad about this album, but I did get a bit sad about the story that they're bringing, because it's not exactly a happy story. Far, far from it. I mean, I've been checking out that story, and I haven't been exactly diving into the Greek mythology, but just a little bit, you know, the highlights of this story, that you get the gist of what the album is about, which is kind of important to understand some parts of this album. It deals about mainly Medea. The album is brought from her viewpoint. She had a pretty serious argument with her husband Jason. I don't know what the argument was about. I mean, you have to really dig into the Greek mythology to find out, but this argument went so far that she had such a hatred for this man that she wanted to hurt him in the worst way possible. And how did she do that? She murdered her own children. Now, rationally, I would say that is absolutely crazy when you as a woman kill your own children to hurt your husband. But the reason for it is mentioned in the lyrics of the last song of this album, From Birth to Bloodshed. The reason is that way she cut off his bloodline. His legacy would end with him. If he would die, you know, his name would be forgotten. That is the way she wanted to take revenge at him. That is what this album, this one, is all about. Okay, so far the Greek mythology. Let's move back to present day music. Ex Libris. I had an opportunity to meet this band and see this band live on stage before I heard the album. The band was giving a release show at W2 Pop Podium in Den Bosch, and as special guests they invited the German band Florage. I'm big fans with them. I'm a big fan of them. I'm friends with them, so I was really happy and excited that this band finally was playing in Holland, so I wanted to be there. Then I heard that they were guests of Ex Libris. I was not familiar with them. I checked them out and found out they were coming from quite close to where I live. That made me even more curious, so I said to the band, I'm really curious to get to know you better. How about an interview? Well, we did an interview. You can find it on liveprog.com. You can find it on my YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, there's a chance. If you haven't seen it, check it out. You get to know the band and they tell you a little bit more about the story and a lot of things involved in this album. Pretty cool. So I went there and I saw the band live. Now, I gotta be honest, I had no idea what to expect because I only heard little hints and bits of the music, but not enough to really know what was coming at me. And I was not prepared for what was coming at me because, wow, an amazing show that this band, Ex Libris, brought with a lot of power, with a lot of intensity and with a lot of passion. And I have to say it, the front woman, Dianne van Giersbergen, when she came on stage and she started to sing, she owned the stage. She owned the audience. She had a very powerful presence and a very powerful voice. She's a real soprano singer. And I gotta say, wow. I mean, if I would stand all the way in the back of the venue, she would still blow me away. That powerful and passionate was the show of Ex Libris, and I really loved it. Now, I'm not sure if they played the album in that order, because at that moment I was not familiar with them. I could not recognize the songs, so I have no idea, but I loved it, absolutely. And when I saw the musicians on stage and I saw how they performed and how they played their instruments, very impressive, especially drummer Eelco van der Meer. I really loved what he was doing. He was really fantastic at that show. I was, wow, what this guy doing, really awesome. Okay, now, and then I got to listen to this album, and of course I compared it to the show that they brought. I mean, I was curious, are they bringing that same passion, that same power and that same intensity in the album? And absolutely, they do.
What are you saying?
It is not the first time I've observed how your harsh temper makes all things impossible. Consider yourself very fortunate that exile is your only punishment.
You come to me now, when you've turned to the worst enemy of the gods and me. It isn't courage or firm resolution to hurt your family.
The album, when you listen to it, it is a really intense album to listen to. It is very powerful, especially vocally. I mean, wow. I mean, the recording quality, the production of this album is very good. Now, mind you, this is an independent release. The band used crowdfunding to get all the funds together to record and release this album. Well, as you can see, I have it in my hands, so they succeeded in that, which shows that they have a lot of people supporting them. And I think there are a lot of people more that like this kind of music, and I hate that word, but I have to use it, female-fronted metal. I think there are a lot of people who will enjoy it, and they will definitely enjoy Ex Libris. So if you've never heard of them, really worth a check out, because it is a fantastic band. And there are a lot of female-fronted metal bands, and I have heard a lot of them, but far from all of them. But still, I say this band is really fantastic and really brings something special in the way that they bring the story. I mean, it is of course a given story, but in the way that they have made it their own, because all the lyrics are written by Dianne van Giersbergen. And in the interview they said that this story has a lot of emotions in it. And when you listen to the album, you really hear those emotions come out of your speakers and really touch you. And I gotta be honest, especially the angry emotions, they come out really strong, and she has a fantastic way of doing that. Now, the story is told from the viewpoint of Medea, but there's one song that features Jason. And Jason here is portrayed by none other than Mr. Damian Wilson. He does one guest song on the album, which is really cool. It is track number 5, Song of Discord. And in that song, there's this arguments part that they really start to, shout at each other and throw their arguments at one another, and really cool, and it really adds a lot to the music. It would have been maybe nice to have a little more of Damian in it, because the male-female vocals really work very well, and I think it would have been nice to have that in other songs as well. But, that's maybe something I would like. Dianne van Giersbergen is a fantastic singer, and even with her being except for that song, the main and only singer, it is a fantastic album to listen to, and I really couldn't stop listening to this album. Someone who really impressed me on the live show as well was Paul van der Broek, the guitar player. And when I listened to the album, and especially there's one song that I really think he's fantastic in, and that is On the Ocean's Command. The haunting guitar sounds that he produces there are so fantastic. It's like, wow, this is really awesome. I mean, live I thought he was a fantastic guitar player. Crunchy riffs, great solos, lovely melodies, but this song really stands out for me in the guitar parts, as I said, really haunting guitars. I really love that very much. Another musician, I mean, all of them stood out for me in some way, especially live. The bass player, Peter den Bakker, I mean, he forms a great rhythm section with Eelco van der Meer, both live, but especially also on the album. Peter den Bakker surprised me by also being the bass player of Flourish. He was playing 2 sets that night, and it seemed like, he's been playing with both bands for years. It all felt so natural in the way that he played, both with Flourish but also with Ex Libris. I was really surprised by it. There's one song on this album that stands out for me when it comes to the bass, and that is Daughter of Corinth, which is definitely one of the highlights of the album. There's some really nice vocal parts in that as well, but also the bass parts there stand out just a little bit more. I really love that very much, and that shows what an amazing bass player he is. Throughout the album we have a lot of nice orchestrations, we have a nice keyboard, some solos here and there by Koen Stam. At the show he was a little bit in the back and a little bit in the dark, so you could hardly see him, but fortunately you could hear him very well, you know, bringing out these orchestrations, being sort of the icing on the cake, and all together they bring a superb album, a fantastic story, and in the way that they bring it, you know, it is really convincing. I had a lot of fun listening to this album. I'm really happy I got a chance to see the band live, and I gotta say I'm really impressed by this album that they've done all by themselves, without the backing of a label, without the backing of any great names. You know, they have a lot of talent and they show it not just on stage, but definitely also with this album. Also the artwork, I mean holding it up, but definitely if you open it up, and I have to take out the CD here. Let me see how that goes. Probably try not to drop it. Hope you can see it. It's a really cool drawing, and if you look very closely, you may not understand it now, but if you look at the photos of the band members and if you look at the artwork, then you might recognize the band members, because all of them kind of stood model for this artwork and all of them were used in all these drawings. So that is really cool as well. It's a beautiful digipack. I love this album very much. I've been listening to it for a long time, and I couldn't stop listening to it in the whole way that this band has, you know, brought this story, how they perform it. They are very talented musicians, and I really think they can go very far. I mean, this is only their second album, so they are still very young. They just started. Well, they've been around for some 10 years. They've been working hard, especially on this album. They've been working a couple of years on it, but the result is there. It is a fantastic album. I give this album a well-deserved 9, because it is a fantastic album. That's all I can say about it. Of course, it depends on taste a little bit more, but if you like female-fronted metal, I say it again, but if you like that kind of music, this is definitely a highlight in the genre. Check them out. The End! Have you seen the band in January when they did their release show? Have you heard the album? What do you think of it? Do you like it or do you not like it? Let me know as I comment on my YouTube channel. And while you're there, click on the subscribe button so you will stay up to date on all the new videos I will be uploading. Of course, you can also visit my website, liveprog.com, and follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and stay up to date with all the musical news I will bring to you on liveprog. And of course, I hope you will see me at a new review.